under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
You're listening to Bock and the Blackshirt.
Terrell Farley.
Defending Terrell Farley,
who last week in his first start was a holy terror. Number 43.
And Jake Bockoven. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Powered by Bauer.
Well, welcome into Bock the Blackshirt here on 93.7 The Ticket. Thanks for joining us here on this wonderful January 20th of 2026. Unfortunately, I've got some bad news for you guys. It is the longest we'll have to wait for the 2026 college football season. We're farther away than we've ever been between football seasons, obviously, with last night's game wrapping it up. It is K-Dub Tuesday here, and so Kenny Wilhite joining me in studio. Terrell Farley, of course, out on taking vacation. He said that he might call in here in just a little bit, so we might get ourselves a little bit of Terrell Farley after all here on a Tuesday. But Kenny, thanks for joining the show. I forget all the different titles that Terrell usually gives you: former Husker player, recruiter.
Blackshirt.
CFL,
he says
Blackshirt.
Yeah, he says former Blackshirt, but it's Blackshirt.
That's right.
It's
Blackshirt
never former.
For life.
Yes, sir. How you doing, brother?
Oh, not too bad. It's good to be here and ready to talk some sports with you on a fun day. Again, we're the finality of the college football season, the final AP poll, all that sort of stuff. But the biggest thing, obviously, Indiana. What a run it has been for the losingest team in college football history at the beginning of the season. Since I think surpassed Northwestern, I think is who it was, has done the unthinkable and finished it off with the championship. So obviously we'll talk plenty about that today, but what were your kind of initial thoughts on the game last night?
Not just that game. I think it was a great weekend for football all around, even in the NFL, even with all those games in the NFL, the playoffs games. And then to top it off, the Nets championship game last night. I mean, watching that game, you watch the team that never doubted themselves. You watch the head coach that never panicked. He never seemed to lose his cool. You know, he's a coach that he's very animated with his facial expressions. But as far as losing his cool throughout the game, I don't think he's ever done that this year. We haven't seen it. Then last night was just cultivated by them winning that national championship. And I tell you what, Mendoza, if there's any question about his toughness, when he took that shot under his chin and then he took that shot in his back when he scored that go-ahead touchdown, kudos to that kid, man. I mean, he's a very, very humble kid. He has a great family. And just to watch them guys, the way they played, they flew around. And, again, you never saw them panic. Even when Miami seemed to get back into the game and make it a game, they never panicked. They never wavered. I think the call of the game was when he took that timeout. Well, he sent the field goal team on and then took that timeout, and they went for it on fourth down. That was probably the play of the game.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And it's funny, too, because, I mean, we talk about timeout management and clock management. That's all part of being a coach. And so, at times you kind of think, oh, you don't want to waste a timeout here or blow a timeout. And he did in certain circumstances where if you don't capitalize off of them, that is something that people would go back and question if it came down to the end of the game and you needed those timeouts. But I was very impressed with that because that was in the most important, crucial, fourth quarter of his career, everything that they've been working toward. And he trusted in himself and took a defensive timeout later in the game as well. And just really And so you don't leave him on the board, right? I mean,
No.
there is that thought. A lot of people do think of that about the end of the game, the clock management that you're going to have to deal with. But if you preserve them all toward the end, sometimes you don't get anything out of them. But the biggest thing, and I think Matt Rule suffered a little bit from this past year, was taking a timeout and then still not necessarily getting the desired outcome out of it. This was the opposite. And so, it was like there's so much reason why Indiana got here. It's such a team effort and all these different, but to watch Signetti, who is now back-to-back coach of the year, have that big of an impact on the game was really incredible from the sideline.
Yeah, again, no panic. And that's a guy that, like he said in his pregame press conference, when you hire good people, good coaches, and you recruit kids for your system, tough kids, physically and mentally. When he took that time out, I'm willing to bet you he thought to himself and his coaches, he trusted in his coaches. He believed in his players, and that's why he did that, and that's why he went for it, because he knew, no doubt in his mind, he didn't think they would get to pick up that fourth down. So, and scoring that touchdown. So that's just kudos to him and believing in the guys that he has around him and the players that he has for his system.
We do have a text in from Jay Foreman. It says, bleep Mendoza. He's a little bit upset. Of course, he was cheering for Miami.
Yeah. I was going to text Jay last night, but I didn't. I left him alone. I heard him in Austin yesterday. I left him alone. I didn't want to bother him, but he said he's going to stick to his gun. He tried to trick Austin into changing his pick, but Austin stayed firm with his. But Jay said, I'm going to go with the U, and hey, you can't hate on Mendoza now. I mean, there's a lot of people saying that he probably wasn't as good as that people say he is, but last night he on that stage he showed up and he showed out. And hey, Jay Foreman, who's yours?
There you go. Yeah, what was that little IU thing they were doing every time they scored a touchdown? I kind of like that.
I like that
touchdown celebration. Of course, it's just fun. Over the years, obviously, the horns down, the U down, those sort of things have drawn penalty flags and lots of talk in the and on the field about what players can do. But I love when they showed the crowd and it's just some small, skinny college girl just putting the U down. It's like, this is awesome. They're enjoying themselves.
They enjoyed it. And just to watch even the fans back home in Bloomington, in their basketball arena, it was a packed arena. I mean, what can you say? It was a guy that when he grabbed that microphone at that basketball game and he basically said to, with every team in the Big Ten, he's a winner. Google him. And he made true to his word in 2 years, what he's done with that program and what he's done for Indiana alone, the university alone. I don't think it'll ever be duplicated, but he like you said, he's a winner. And the thing about it is, like I keep telling you guys, if you have good people in place and that you can trust and lean on and they know what they're doing, and you have kids and I don't want to use the word culture. I just want to use when you have kids in your system for what you want to do and they execute it like Indiana did, that's what happened. Those are the results you'll get.
And there's so many different ways to go with this, but I did want to ask you, as you recruit and kind of look to build a roster, and this is kind of the question for Mendoza going to the next level is, the Raiders have the number one pick. Is he a guy that kind of fits the lifestyle of Las Vegas, or the team, just kind of the team makeup of the Raiders, all that sort of stuff? But I would have to think when you're going from high school into the college ranks, if you sit down and you talk to a guy like Mendoza, who is very team first, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He could go out there and be very, talk all about himself, but he almost gets this kind of rub for being a little bit corny, maybe a little bit cheesy, that sort of stuff. But that's what you're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for a spokesman and he's, if you sit down and have a conversation with him, it's a little bit different than he was probably in front of the camera. But, so, I get it. It kind of rubs people, I wouldn't say the wrong way, just like, is this, would adults kind of follow this sort of guy? But I got to imagine that's about as good as it can be in front of the camera. When you're going out and recruiting guys like that, if you talk to him, Mendoza, and he was, kind of brought that sort of attitude, do you go back with this guy's A+ personality type of deal?
No, if you listen to him and, some people, like you said, some people are, when they listen to his interviews, they say, oh, this guy, this guy, that. but he's a winner. He's a winner. You can't take that from him. His leading, he may not be the guy that's standing up in front of the team and doing all the talking. That may be somebody else, or he maybe is the guy that's doing it. But for him to get those, if he is the guy that's doing it, for him to get the team to rally around him and for them to do what they've done the last 2 years, as far as the Raiders go, yeah, they have Genty. They have a couple pieces, but would you want to throw him right into the fire right away? I don't know, because then you can hurt his career. Or you can put him in there right away, and he will excel. He will exceed expectations. So you don't know what you're going to get, and you don't know who the Raiders are going to draft. But if they draft him, one thing I do know is they're going to be getting a tough SOB. He showed it last night, and he can sling the rock now. He is a smart young man, and he made some throws and some things. He made some things happen with his feet that you can't coach. He's probably a student of the game. We don't know we don't know, but I'm sure he is a student of the game. He studies, and he's very, very humble. And that's what you want as a franchise player. Someone that's tough, mentally tough, physically tough, can play football, and is very humble. It's not about them. It's going to always be about that team and that organization.
Obviously, you haven't been able to watch all of his film and break it down, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. But he is kind of the unanimous number one draft pick. I mean, he's got won the Heisman, won the national championship. Like, everything's kind of lining up there. Is there anything, is there any like physical limitations or, type of deal? I mean, because sometimes we have guys that come out and you just go, man, this guy can make all the throws. And that's kind of where physically the arm strength's incredible, or, that sort of stuff. Does he measure up typically to a top draft pick in your mind in that category? Because obviously he's got the rest of that as far as accomplishments nailed down.
Yeah, again, he's a mobile quarterback, as you saw last night. Yeah. He's not a statue back there. So again, if you got a guy like that that's just not a pocket quarterback that can help you a little bit, when things break down in the pass game, can get you a couple of yards here and there. That's kind of what you want. Again, the leadership ability, the playing ability is all there. It's just he needs to get in the right system for him and for the team that drafts him. And they just got to make sure they put pieces around him that he can have success.
Now, something you said earlier, too, that I wanted to pick your brain on was that you don't think that this is going to be easily duplicated. What happened in Bloomington and moving forward, it's kind of interesting because the path that they went through, it's not like it had some magical sprinkle sauce or something, or went some crazy outside the lines type of approach, like a Deion Sanders or something like that. It was just bringing up a big group from James Madison. It was what he retained at Indiana, and to develop those guys, obviously targeting the right guys out of the transfer portal. So, all that stuff, it can make a lot easier said than done. But as far as looking for the next Indiana and looking for how do you even begin to do that? Because it's such a historical outlier.
Yeah, if you look at it, they were 3-9. Then you hired him from James Madison, and the next year he goes and he does what he did, and then the second year he wins the national championship. You tell me there's going to be another 3-9 team that hires a first-year head coach that's coming from an FCS, a smaller Division I program, and does what he does? I don't think it'll be duplicated. But again, like you said, he got the right pieces, and they said it during the game last night. Becker. The whole receiving room, they were asked, they said none of them, they wanted any of them back. Becker was the fastest kid on the team. And then until the 7th game of the season, then he started showing up because they knew there was a role for him. You know what I mean? And he played his role really well. He made some big-time catches in that game. Oh, yes, he did. And, there was a former Husker player was tweeting out about the refs not throwing pass interference on Miami. I was like, man, they ain't going to call that all night. But then when they finally got the call, that was a questionable one. But that kid Becker stepped up. He played his role perfectly for that university, and that's what Cignetti surrounded himself with kids like that are willing to do whatever it takes for that program, and it was never about them, and that's why they won the national championship.
And so often throughout championship runs, it does. The Cignetti and the Mendozas are going to ones that go down in history, and we talk about this Indiana team. You're going to start with those names. But so often when you need a national championship and you need, and obviously in a football game where it's such a team sport, you need stories like that. And Becker's was an incredible one. I mean, they went to him on a big fourth down play, kind of the back shoulder throw, down the sideline. They did it twice. Actually, and he came up with it. And it was just amazing to hear. One, he's the fastest player in the team, but he also didn't, really contribute a whole lot till midway through the season when their star wide receiver, Liza Sherratt, went out. And then the final bit of knowledge they dropped in there, he doesn't have a drop all year.
He didn't have a drop all year.
He's got just a shade under 700 yards receiving. That's incredible.
When I heard that stat, I'm like, that's incredible. Because if you look at the big-time receivers, Ryan Williams has had some crucial drops for Alabama.
Yeah.
But to hear that this kid did not have one drop and have that many yards receiving, and him making those big-time catches, and when I think the game was still in doubt. There was still a competitive game, and he made those catches. And I mean, kudos to those guys. Those guys earned what they got, and let's see if he can keep it rolling. Because his brother Mendoza's brother is already in the portal, so he knew he knew his time was up in Indiana. And then they got a kid coming in, so we'll see.
Yeah. It does remind me too, a guy that especially had some sticky hands there at Nebraska while you were there, Jordan Westerkamp.
Westy.
I mean, that was a guy too. I mean, he was known a lot for this kind of spectacular catch, but man, did he have some sure hands. I mean, I don't know how many. He probably didn't have a whole lot of drops throughout his career either.
No, Westy was he was a special kid. He wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the quickest, but he ran some really good routes, and I didn't think he dropped too many balls. And that kid is like I said, that kid's the fastest on the team. So, and for them to lean on him when they needed it, and he made the plays at the big time, it was just amazing to watch. And Indiana, Big Ten, that's crazy.
Now, I do want to give Miami a little bit of credit here because they did make a game out of this. People that were kind of thinking that might get into blowout territory. Indiana had been beating their opponents down pretty well. But Miami, even without having scored at halftime, ends up only losing this game by 6. And without that blocked punt by Kamara there from Indiana, who knows what this game looks like. So when you're just kind of taking special teams out of it, which you can't do, obviously special teams very important.
We've been hearing that around here.
Yes, we'll talk much more about that later in the show.
Yeah.
Circling back to Nebraska, but the Hurricanes, especially for the hole that they kind of dug themselves, being down 10-0 at halftime, for the comeback that they had. The only turnover in the game was driving for the win, right? You've got to kind of play with a different sense of urgency, and maybe we'll take more gambles there than you otherwise would. But what did you think about Miami? Obviously, their season comes up short, had an incredible run. But as far as, being able to kind of get back in that game, especially again, down, not having scored at halftime, Fletcher gets the big run in the second half to get things going. And that kind of started things going a little bit for their offense.
Yeah. When they were down 10-0, I was like, okay, Indiana gets the ball coming out at half.
Yeah.
But they got that crucial stops right after half. They stopped Indiana. Then they went down and scored. That's when I think they felt like they had a chance to win in that game. You saw the kids get more and more excited. But I tell you what, from start to finish, defensively, Miami played really well. Indiana had their hands full with Miami's front four. That defensive end, that underside. Oh my goodness, He reminded me of Dwight Freeney.
Okay, yeah.
For the Colts, undersized kid, but that could just get off the ball, and he gave Indiana fits. And then they sent the safety in there one time. He blitzed on that running back. He knocked that running back like 5 yards. He knocked him like 5 yards back. I'm like, whoo! They were bringing the wood now. Now Miami did miss some tackles at crucial moments of the game, though. That's why I think the game was lost for them, because they missed tackles at crucial moments of the game. And Indiana didn't. Indiana, when they came up, they wrapped you up and they got you down the ground. Miami's receiver, that number 10, he is the shiftiest dude in college football, and they got him down on the ground. They didn't miss too many tackles on that kid. So Indiana didn't miss too many tackles on him. So I think those missed tackles in crucial moments cost Miami that game, especially on third down.
I would agree. Malachi Tony was the one you're talking about, number 10.
Tony.
Had some breakout plays there, but they kind of contain him. I always think it's funny, just the different backgrounds. He obviously, as a defensive player, when you played, kind of thinking through, and obviously you played a lot of offense as well, so I don't want to pigeonhole you, but it is kind of funny how sometimes you from one side you get, oh man, this is amazing, broken tackles and was able to get to the end zone and all that. And from the defensive side, usually if you talk to a defensive guy, they don't start there. They're talking about missed tackles and why the tackle was approached wrong and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there was approached wrong. I just think they didn't wrap up. And Indiana, their 1-2, their determination was not going to be denied last night. And that's why I think the outcome of that game came full circle for them, because they didn't, like I said, they didn't falter. They didn't panic. You didn't see any stress on those kids' faces. Even when that lineman jumped off sides, that false start penalty,
yeah.
They could have easily said, okay, we're not going to pick up this third down. It's going to be hard to pick up this third down. We're going to, we have to get the ball back to Miami. But they picked it up and they executed well after that. When they made mistakes, they came back and executed well.
And I just really enjoyed, too, the back and forth of the coaches, because whenever they would look at either of them, they both just kind of have kind of their they call it what, resting B face right out there. But they have their own resting faces. And Kurt Cignetti's one is just like, if he raises his eyebrow, like he's emotional, basically. Yeah. So that's very entertaining. And then on the other side, Cristobal has like a resting half smile kind of going on. And I thought it was because he was generally happy with how this game was going on. And then they flashed to him right after like the game was over, like the final pick or whatever. He still kind of had that resting smile. So I was going, oh, okay. That's just how he looks.
Yeah. The faces that Cignetti makes.
Oh.
And he finally celebrated too. When they scored that, when Mendoza scored that touchdown, he celebrated.
Yeah.
He threw his arms up, pumped his arms in. But then again, he went back to that resting face that he always has. But no, the facial expression that those two had last night was priceless.
Yes, that was part of the fun of the game, without a doubt. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. It is K-Dub Tuesday here on Bock The Blackshirt. Once again, Terrell out, but Kenny Wilhite in here on a Tuesday. We'll talk much more college football and Husker football and just the world of sports coming next here on Bock The Blackshirt on 93.7 The Ticket.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Clear your calendar. It's a volleyball weekend in Omaha. Love Nebraska returns to Baxter Arena for back-to-back home matches on January 30th and February 1st, facing Love Madison and Love Austin. 2 matches, 2 chances to see your hometown team compete as the season heats up. Featuring Lexi Rodriguez and Jordan Larson taking on the likes of Lauren Carlini and Maddie Skinner, and special moments throughout the weekend. This is your opportunity to catch all the action live. Make it one night or both nights. Get your tickets now at lobbneb.com/tickets.
This is Alexander Fern, the voice of the Lincoln Stars, telling you to join the Stars Saturday, January 24th at the Icebox for our annual Aubrey Brown Club night. The Stars are at home to take on the Omaha Lancers at 6 p.m. Proceeds from the night will go toward a great cause. The Aubrey Brown Club is a local foundation that helps parents through the tragedy of child loss. The Stars will be wearing special jerseys that will be auctioned off following the game. And don't miss a great night for a great cause at the Icebox, Saturday, January 24th. Tickets are available at LincolnStars.com. Proceeds from the night will be donated to the Aubrey Brown Club.
If you're tired of the dieting circuit paradox but still want to look, feel, and perform better, you need to get to Nutrition Authority and ask about our nutrition coaching featuring LifeBase. LifeBase takes a complex world of nutrition and makes it simple with real results that last. Stop in to learn more or check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more. Most resolutions for the new year fail before January is even over. Why not resolve to just be a little bit cleaner in 2026? Nebraska Auto Detail is here for you. Now through March 30th, if you purchase a ceramic coating, you'll get a free interior detail. There's no better way to start your year than taking care of your car and decluttering the mess that it becomes so easily. Book your detail today at NebraskaAutoDetail.com or call Joe and the team at 402-601-5086.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Hog Wild has a delicious way for you to enjoy beef brisket. It's our open-faced hot beef sandwich. We start with our grilled Texas toast. Add a scoop of creamy mashed potatoes. Load them up with some tender Hog Wild beef brisket and top it off with our tasty brown gravy. It's absolutely delicious. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
A membership with John Henry's will fast track you to front of the line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing. Heating
And electrical.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
You're listening to Bock and the Blackshirt, on air and online at theticketfm.com.
We are back here on Bock the Blackshirt on 93.7 The Ticket. Once again, Terrell Farley out today and actually throughout the remainder of the week. He's taking a much-deserved vacation to Indiana. He's going to celebrate the national championship out there. No, he's got family out there. But he might also told us he might call in today, so we will see if we hear from Terrell. In the meantime, getting Wilhite in studio as usual on a Tuesday for K-Dub Tuesday. We're just going through the championship game last night and kind of where everything lands here at the end. Conference pride. I want to get to that. This is the third, obviously, straight championship for the Big Ten. The tides have changed from the South now to the Midwest, if you will, perhaps, with Ohio State and Michigan, and of course Michigan and Ohio State and Indiana now winning the titles. It's interesting to see the different math we're having come up. Nick Saban, I think it was Saban that said it's because the northern schools can pay the southern players to come up now to play, and so maybe that's part of the shift here. But overall, with the Big Ten getting the win, Kenny, does it do anything for Nebraska? Does it mean anything reflecting back on Nebraska? Because usually when you're cheering for conference, it's to it's try to maybe boost up your own ego, or back in the day it used to be kind of regionality, or kind of the region of the country you were in. Now it's like, like we already, I don't know. To me, it's just kind of like I already acknowledged the Big Ten as one of the best conferences in the country, but it doesn't mean a whole lot as far as reflecting back on Nebraska, because we see what Nebraska looks like when they face the top 25, and it's just been
lopsided.
Yeah, and it's been written in stone. It's been that way for a long time.
For a long time. Now, it doesn't do anything for Nebraska. It just, just so happened Nebraska's in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But mentally, it doesn't do anything for Nebraska. It doesn't do anything to put you on that pedestal because you haven't earned it. You haven't beaten a top 25 team in a long time. So until you get to that and you get to the playoffs, then it'll mean something. But until then, it doesn't mean nothing.
Do you think that the SEC's era of dominance is obviously coming to a close as dominance? as far as where we'll go from here is the question, because this past year, there are all these different teams in the SEC that are ranked high. People think that that the polls are manipulated, all that sort of stuff. ESPN, SEC network is what they say. But there is maybe something to it. Maybe you don't have the top teams now in the SEC, but it is important to point out, I think, they did have, I think it was, let me count these up real quick. I think it was 7 teams reached double digits as far as victories this year.
The SEC?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just count them out and cancel them right now. You just can't do that because they're still the SEC. I think the SEC and the Big Ten are the 2 best conferences in college football. They have been for a long time. The SEC just had a hold on it. Now the Big Ten is caught up to them, and the last 3 championships have come out of the Big Ten. I mean, the SEC is going to always have teams in the top 10. And the Big Ten is always going to have 2 or 3 in the top 10. It just depends on who can stay healthy throughout the season and make a run in the playoffs. And unfortunately, it's been the Big Ten the last 3 years.
Now, I think, especially for the Big Ten angle, it's nice to kind of sit up and puff your chest out and say, okay, yeah, see, all this we've been talking about over the years, it's playing off in fruition. The SEC, as much as we say they're not going away, anything like that, they're probably having an identity crisis. At least I can imagine Paul Feinbaum right now he's not knowing what to do with himself.
He's the one that's probably licking his wounds because he's been on the SEC bandwagon for a long time. So I'm sure that the last 2 years have put a muzzle on him a little bit, but he's still SEC. So we'll hopefully we can keep him that way, and then so he can shut up about the SEC.
Now, one thing too is that comes to mind as people were watching this. I've heard it from a few different people. Is when they watched the playoffs or they watched the championship game last night, you kind of start to think, how far away is Nebraska? We know they're not these teams, but how far away are they? We were talking during the break, specifically matchups wise, there would be kind of some frustration with Miami's pass rush coming after Dylan Ryle this past year. How far away is Nebraska, do you think, from the top? Obviously, wins wise, we can kind of count it, but it just I just can't imagine a whole lot of success playing either of those teams.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't want to see that right now. And we're fortunate enough the last 2 years we've won 7 games both years, right?
Yeah,
7-6. I wouldn't be worried about those above one of them, Indiana, because you play them next year and they're in your conference.
Yeah.
What the thing I'm worried about is the makeup, the landscape of the Big Ten. Where do you fall in the landscape of the Big Ten? You added the 4 schools, USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon. And before that, you had Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. And now that's 7 teams in front of you right now that's been having winning seasons longer than you have. So again, where you fit in the landscape of Big Ten. Now Indiana's who they are.
Yeah.
You haven't beaten Minnesota on a regular basis. You haven't beaten Iowa. So now you're looking at 11th, right?
Yeah.
If we're doing the math, you're looking at 11th. Michigan State, Illinois. If you look at Illinois, now you're looking at 13. So to put yourself and try to say what we have done against those teams last night, what can you do against the top teams in the Big Ten? Where do you fit in the Big Ten? Right now, again, like you said, you wouldn't want to see Nebraska playing Miami. You wouldn't want to see Nebraska playing Indiana because talent-wise, you don't match up. You just don't.
Yeah.
You would that would be ugly.
I mean, heck, we saw Nebraska and Penn State and Iowa. Those weren't pretty, right?
Those were not pretty. So that's what I'm saying. You don't want to see that right now. Hopefully we continue to build on the wins, have if we can get to 8 wins next year, well, that's going to be tough. But you look at the schedule. But if we consistently win 7, 8 wins and continue to get one more each year, then we'll be talking better about Nebraska. But right now, we're just not in that upper echelon.
And if you look at the schedule for next year, again, the final AP rankings are out, so we can kind of look at where Nebraska's matchups are going to kind of land, at least for where they landed this year. Nebraska will take on the defending champ Indiana at home, so we'll see what that is. But obviously, that's number 1. Ohio State, Nebraska will take them on at home as well. They finished number 5 this year, so you're talking about 2 top 5 teams there. Oregon, they will take on the road. Oregon finished number 4 this year, so that's 3 out of the top 5 that Nebraska will play, all within their conference, obviously. Then you go from that. The next ranked team for Nebraska would be number 17, Iowa. We know 10 out of 11 now losses to Iowa, so you've got your own problems there. They finished well. I'm intrigued to see where Iowa finishes next year. They lose a lot of talent. They generally do, and restock. Kind of, they seem to find a way to stay old more often than not. So they finished number 17. And then you've got the other ones that kind of stick out. Didn't quite finish in the top 25. Number 26 and number 27, according to the AP top 25. Illinois finished just outside the top 25. Washington just behind Illinois. Nebraska will play at Illinois for that game. Washington will come home. But if you're talking about, and again, a few spots here and there, one way or the other, all these teams in the top 25, you basically got a group of 3 of the top 5, right? And then another group of 3 that's probably somewhere in between, in this case, 17 and 27. That's 6 games where you're looking for, maybe if you can get one, right, that would be your biggest win since 2016, because you have not beat a top 25 team since then, which was Oregon that year. So it is an uphill climb, and it is. I keep saying this, and I think this is the phrase. They're going to have to beat good to be good next year. This is no longer, the schedule plays out, so that's why I think they can maybe rise up, or here's a couple games that will kind of propel them. Heck, their non-con schedule against Ohio and some of those teams aren't a cakewalk either. So it is going to make for an interesting year. But they better be ready for it. They better be built and ready for it. And right now, and I think that's kind of the frustration or the question out there with the fans is, you come off that bad 3-game losing streak, the blowout. You hope, the blowouts. You hope to get some momentum going here in the offseason, but there's no one here to save you. Nebraska's going to have to get better.
Nope. And then you didn't even count the bowl game against Utah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't count the bowl games against Utah. So that's another team that, going into that game, you were asking yourself, can we match up with Utah? Can we stop Utah's run? And, during that game, we weren't able to stop the quarterback run game. So, yeah, it's those 6 games next year is going to be a gauntlet. Like you said, if we can pull one of those out and not slip up in the first half of the season, then you're looking at a 7-5 year again, and then making a bowl game. But if you go 0-6 in that stretch there, and you slip up against one of those teams early on, now you're looking at a 5-7 or 6-6 year. That's not good. That's not where you want to be. So in year 5, right?
Yeah. Well, year 4. Yeah.
Year four. That's not where you want to be.
Yeah. And I think the hope more than anything is that Nebraska is such a tough out that you could be like, one of these 4. I don't say obviously hoping to go undefeated, but with that type of schedule, I mean, they could be a pretty darn good team at 8-4 if they could do it, right? But you got to get there. There's a lot of steps to get to that sort of process. So kind of like Iowa this year, they finished 9-4, or Alabama. Alabama gets the additional help because of their name. They finished 11-4 and they're in the top 10. So nowadays in college football too, it's not all about winning every one of your games, but at least competing in them and certainly giving a challenge to the top teams on the schedule.
Yeah, but Alabama got beat up on, didn't they?
They did.
Indiana beat up on them.
Yeah.
They really punched them in the mouth.
True.
Yeah, so I don't think they should be in the top 10.
I don't think so either. I was very surprised to see them finish there.
Very surprised. And again, it hurt Notre Dame by not being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think the teams that made the playoffs, of all the teams that made the playoff, Alabama should not have been finished where they finished.
Yeah.
So, but I think Miami is deserving of number 2 because they lost to the national championship. They played for the national championship and they lost in it. So that's why I think they're deserving of it. But everybody else but Alabama should not be where they are.
All right, we're going to have you put on your talent evaluator hat once more when we come back from break. There's a question on here. We talk about it all the time. Nebraska's more talented than Minnesota, more talented than Iowa, but it doesn't look like that on the field. The question on the text line is Nebraska more talented than Indiana, or is Indiana just coached up that much better? We'll get to that coming up next year on K-Dub Tuesday on Bock The Blackshirt on 93.7 The Ticket.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at WindowWorldLincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Most resolutions for the new year fail before January is even over. Why not resolve to just be a little bit cleaner in 2026? Nebraska Auto Detail is here for you. Now through March 30th, if you purchase a ceramic coating, you'll get a free interior detail. There's no better way to start your year than taking care of your car and decluttering the mess that it becomes so easily. Book your detail today at NebraskaAutoDetail.com or call Joe and the team at 402-601-5086.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at SartorHeyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
A membership with John Henry's will fast track you to front-of-the-line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
And electrical.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Nutrition Authority invites you to check out the top-selling Epic Effects. Epic Effects is designed to help blast body fat, curb cravings, and provide smooth energy so you can cruise through the day. Home of free samples and better than internet pricing, Epic Effects can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For store info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Hog Wild has a delicious way for you to enjoy beef brisket. It's our open-faced hot beef sandwich. We start with our grilled Texas toast. Add a scoop of creamy mashed potatoes. Load them up with some tender Hog Wild beef brisket and top it off with our tasty brown gravy. It's absolutely delicious. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
You're listening to Bock and the Blackshirt, on air and online at theticketfm.com.
We're back here on Bock and the Blackshirt on 93.7 The Ticket. Thanks for joining us here on a K-Dub Tuesday. Thanks again for Kenny Wilhite jumping in the studio. Had a little bit of a tease question leading off from the text line, and we always appreciate you texting in 402-464-5685. And wanted to get Kenny's thoughts here. As 1562 texts in, I wouldn't say Nebraska doesn't have the talent that Indiana has. We recruit way ahead of them. But our development has been so pathetic for the last decade. Plus, it looks as though we are fielding a JV team. I don't know how you get anything out of a bunch of complacent and entitled players, though. So Nebraska is not going to be competitive at any point in the near future. Of course, he got into the doldrums there toward the end of that text, as many Husker fans do. But the point I wanted to highlight there is, is Indiana more talented than Nebraska? Because that every time Nebraska loses to Minnesota and Iowa, we get going for those weeks, and obviously different teams, but that is a question that comes out when Nebraska loses. It's like, why do we constantly lose when we're the more talented team, or if we're the more talented team? Where do you think Nebraska fits on the scope of talent with Indiana here, who, again, this is what makes this story so magical? Not a bunch of 4 or 5 stars that jump off the board at you and must get blue chip prospects out of high school or out of the portal. So there are different rankings that have Indiana as like a team composite ranking for their high school ranks and something in the 70s in college football. But then there's the part of actually watching it play out on the field, the development, all that sort of stuff. Where does Nebraska compare to you talent-wise with Indiana?
If you watched that game last night and you watched Nebraska's game against Indiana last year, talent-wise, Indiana's better. From top to bottom, O-line, D-line, receiving core. I think we with Emmett this year, we had a better running back than they had, but that two-headed monster they had with those 2 running backs in Indiana would probably match up with Emmett, but I think we would have a slight edge with just Emmett against their 2 running backs. Receiving core on paper, ours is better, but productivity, Indiana's is better. Tight end wise, I think Indiana's better. So yeah, to answer your question, the last 2 years, Indiana has had better talent on the field than Nebraska. On paper, Nebraska is better, but on the field, Indiana's better.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to go through that and see where you can kind of land on it. And that's what again makes this championship run so special, is that it feels like, because of the ingredients that went into it, like I said, not necessarily having a savior of the program. Of course, Nebraska's been in that sort of spot, or hey, this is the recruiting class. Just give the guy 4 years, and then the recruiting class, all those sort of things that we traditionally talk about. And Cignetti does it with what he inherits, what he brought from a lower level school, and what he took out of the portal, like everybody else has a chance to do out of the portal. And he's not getting, it wasn't, again, a crazy, top class out of the portal, but Mendoza comes in and he leaves as, the top class of the portal or whatever, the Heisman Trophy best player in college football. But again, with those ingredients, it feels obtainable by everybody. And that's why throughout this entire run, the last 2 years, Cignetti's put more pressure on coaches and ADs across the country than I've seen in a long time from one single man.
Man, it's just amazing to watch, because you say he brought in Mendoza. Mendoza was at Cal, right?
Yeah.
And he got those kids to believe in not only him, but his coaching staff and the system that they wanted. And they've executed that well for 2 years in a row. From top to bottom, they've executed it for 2 years in a row. And this year, cultivating with the national championship. That's why I say it can't, I don't think it'll ever be done. If you go 3-9 and you hire a first-year head coach and he brings in the right pieces and they contend for a championship in the first year, and then the next year they win it, I don't think it'll ever be done, because, again, the people, when he got there, what he picked up that mic and said, I don't think the next guy will say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I truly don't think the next guy will put himself out there and say what he said and then turn around and back it up. It will never happen. Because the next guy who takes over a program, usually coaches say, I want to get my guys in, or, this is a rebuild, or this is going to take 2 or 3 years. And, then they're going to say we don't have enough NIL money, and, we don't have enough, He didn't say that. He did not say that. That's why I say it will never be duplicated, because first and foremost, he grabbed that mic and said what he said. He said, you know what, Ohio State, you know what, Michigan, you know what, Purdue, this is Indiana. We're going to win. Google me. The next coach will not say those words and then turn around and execute that plan to perfection like he has done. And then, so we're talking about talent. You bring up Minnesota and you bring up Iowa. O-line, D-line wise, yeah, I think they're probably more talented than us because they have guys that's been in their system and they execute well on the front. Quarterback wise, the last 2 years, I think we've had better quarterback. We've had better receivers. We just haven't executed. So that's why the games have turned out the way they've turned out. So you shouldn't, like I said, you shouldn't lose to those teams. But if you don't execute and you don't have toughness, you're going to lose to those teams 9 times out of 10.
And in the second hour, we'll jump much more into Nebraska, kind of the comments that Matt Rule said revolving Mike Eckler, all that sort of stuff. But I did, specifically want to highlight that this offseason, there is more of a focus on the trenchant, at least through the transfer portal. You could see it, obviously, going into last season. A lot of people were worried about the trenches. That fear showed through, right, and became a problem on both sides of the ball at different portions of the season. But maybe, and it's interesting to just see how different people read it. Nebraska, there's this term that we kind of throw around here. Nebraska is winning the offseason because no matter how the previous season ends, we kind of go through a dip and then, hey, here's some exciting addition. Here's something new. And then by summer comes around, we go, we should win 9 or 10 games. We're Nebraska. So, they usually win the offseason. I've been saying, I don't know if they're necessarily going to win it, but I don't know if that's awful, because usually winning the part of the offseason is getting excited about some of the skill position players or this, a guy that's going to come in and save the program. Nebraska needs those front lines. And so the thing is now, I don't know. Did they pick the right guys on the offensive line and defensive line? I'm not sure, but they made that a priority in the transfer portal, and we'll see if it pays off for them.
Yeah. Again, they made it a priority, and, on paper, like I always say, on paper, it looks good. You have to wait and see. You have to wait to see how spring ball goes, see what the kids do in the offseason, summer program, and then fall camp. And then, when that ball is kicked off next year, you'll see what we have. You have, what is this, January?
Mm-hmm.
You got 9 months, right? 9 months, 8 or 9 months to figure out what you have. And if you can get those kids to gel together and create an identity on all 3 phases of the team and see what we have. But right now, there's no, like you said, the offseason buzz is, is just, you know what I mean? There hasn't been any excitement. But again, if I was them, I would keep everything quiet. I would just.
You've been saying that for years.
Just keep everything quiet, but then because you put yourself out there too much, and then you don't perform as you say you were going to, and then that's going to put you in more harm than not. So I would just be quiet, stay off social media, stay off podcasts, just grind it out and see what you're gonna do next year.
Yeah, that would be one approach. We'll see. I expect to see Matt on some podcasts. I gotta say it, but we'll see how it plays out in the offseason. We will be back. We'll talk more again about kind of the interesting, the latest, I suppose, interesting stuff going around Nebraska football with the portal, some of the additions, some of the departures, and then of course Mike Eckler and what's kind of going on there. We'll do that next. Also wanted to ask Kenny Wilhite about whether they needed to add a running back. They thought not. I'm interested in Kenny's thoughts. We'll do that coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Nutrition Authority invites you to check out the top-selling Epic Effects. Epic Effects is designed to help blast body fat, curb cravings, and provide smooth energy so you can cruise through the day. Home of free samples and better than internet pricing, Epic Effects can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For store info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive. Always honest answers.
Don't wait. The clock is ticking at Landmark Implement's annual inventory reduction sale. For a limited time, get special financing as low as 1.9% for 12 months, then 6.2% interest for 48 months on select equipment. No auction, no waiting, just inventory price to move. Once it's gone, it's gone. Visit Landmark Implement or shop online at landmarkimp.com. Then click on the featured used equipment and experience the Landmark difference.
A membership with John Henry's will fast-track you to front-of-the-line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
And electrical.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Hog Wild has a delicious way for you to enjoy beef brisket. It's our open-faced hot beef sandwich. We start with our grilled Texas toast. Add a scoop of creamy mashed potatoes. Load them up with some tender Hog Wild beef brisket and top it off with our tasty brown gravy. It's absolutely delicious. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to Bock the Blackshirt.
Terrell Farley. Defending Terrell Farley.
Who last week in his first start was a holy terror. Number 43.
And Jake Bockoven. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Powered by Bauer.
We are back here on Bock and the Blackshirt on 93.7 The Ticket. Trying to get a hold of Terrell Farley so we can hear from him and his thoughts on the national championship game and the latest movements in sports, of course, here as we get things going here on a K-Dub Tuesday. Kenny Wilhite in studio with us. Terrell, if you are out there listening, I understand you're trying to call in. We're having a little bit of a phone difficulties. We were efforting to call you, so we'll see if that can kind of work. I'm having Nick give it a shot. And okay, here we are. We are joined by Terrell Farley, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Terrell Farley, on the phone line. How's it going, Terrell? Can we hear you? Well, we thought we had.
Man, he's got that iPhone 1, man. You know, his server's going to be all screwed up with that. His reception is bad.
Yeah, that's too bad. I set it up pretty well. I thought anyway, but we'll see if we can get a hold of Terrell. Working with some phone problems here, but we'll see as we get through it. Anyways, he will join us here shortly, but I did want to start to kind of get into some of the happenings in Husker football here as of recent. I don't know if I have to completely set it up. I think people are all paying attention or pretty close to it to what's going on with Mike Eckler. We're not seeing there's no news to report, which is weird. Day by day, you kind of go and you expect to see the final nail in the coffin for Mike Eckler to likely leave for his position for USC. And that's been reported by CBS, likely going to leave Nebraska and be hired on at USC. Of course, Matt Rule talked about it on his radio program and basically say, you got to be in the foxhole with him or if you're 1 foot out the door, then you're kind of out. Mentioned that they offered him top special teams coordinator money in the nation, 1 or 2 to stay. Looks like if you kind of read between the lines that Coach Eckler might be looking for a little bit more than just being a special teams coordinator. And USC might be able to offer that where Nebraska might otherwise not be. And that's where people start to kind of question if that is truly the difference, then why wouldn't there be a position or something to kind of make Coach Eckler a little bit more happier and stay in place here in Nebraska? Kenny, as best you can, it's a scenario we don't necessarily have only a few guys in Mike Eckler and Matt Rule and maybe Lincoln Riley know the exact details of what's going on. But as you try to read it from the outside, it frustrates a lot of Husker fans because that was one spot that they felt confident about going into the future with Coach Eckler at special teams. Yeah, because if you look back the last few years, special teams has been a struggle for us. So for him to come in 1 year and do what he did, and for that special team unit and get them to play hard and execute and do things that were to help you win football games, it'd be hard to lose a guy like that. But again, we don't know. Everybody's speculating. I don't know. You don't know. The only people that knows is him, Coach Rule, and Lincoln Riley. But knowing a guy like Eckler, his pedigree is coaching the position, along with doing the special teams. So I'm sure that's something that he wants to do, and he probably asked him if he can do it. And right now, if you look at the makeup of the coaching staff, there's not a spot for him. Yeah, there's not a spot for him. So I talked to Eckler a couple of times. I've reached out to Eck a couple of times when he left. When he was with after he left here a long time ago, he got a defensive coordinator spot, and we talked a little bit because he was trying to get me on staff with him. But I know he's a driven guy. He wants to coach a position, and whatever he does, whatever he chooses, he's going to do what's best for him and his family. We'd love to keep him here, but it's just like you said. If you look at the landscape of where they are on the staff, there's no room for him. We'll try to reach out again. Terrell, are you on the line with us now? Still can't hear from Terrell, so we'll continue. To
turn the volume up on your phone, Farley.
I don't know if it's Farley's fault, but we'll see.
Or use somebody else's phone.
Yeah, it might be something on our end. He might give up here fairly soon if we can't get him on, but we will see. Continue to try to do that, but so that was kind of one of the big notes from that radio session for Matt Rule, and it is interesting because I guess the thing that kind of strikes you is they're obviously doing, and he doesn't like the term reset. We talked about it, before. As a coach, you just don't want to hear those sort of words. But definitely reshuffling some stuff going on there. Obviously with the offensive line and defensive coordinator and now new safeties coach, all that sort of stuff. So they're at least doing that, but throughout all that, you would hope to feel that at least the strengths that you had the previous year can kind of blend into the next year. And I think that's where Husker fans are a little bit concerned with the special teams and the pass defense, for what that's worth. That was another thing that kind of maybe leans into John Butler. Addison Williams still the secondary coach, so maybe you can kind of keep that going there. But special teams in your history of watching it through coaching and all that, what makes a good special team? I mean, why was Coach Eckler so effective? Because it's not like spending more time, getting to the details. You can, right? But there's only so many formations and opportunities for special teams out there. What is the difference? What makes a really good special teams coach like Coach Eck compared to what Nebraska's been in before, which was a dismal special teams, abysmal?
When you say special teams, it takes special people to be on special teams. So what he probably did, he got those kids, even the lower tier kids, to believe in themselves and to let them know that they can help on special teams, but there's a right way to go about doing it. That's executing. On the punt team, you step with your right foot, you step out, you count from outside in. So as long as you don't miss a count, you're going to execute well on the punt team. On a kickoff, if you stay in your lane, don't get out of your lane, don't give up a big lane or a big hole for a returner to run through. You're gonna end up pinning some guys back where they don't want to be. And kickoff return team, don't make dumb decisions. When the ball is deep in the end zone, keep it in the zone. But when there's a return, you don't have to make that great block or that punishing block. You can just be in somebody's way and give the returner a little crease that he can hit, as you saw a couple of times this year. So he got the kids to believe in what he wanted to get done. He practiced that way, and then they went out and executed it during the game. So that's all. Again, special teams, it takes special people because you got to want to do it. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job coaching. It's not an easy job playing on it. But if you want to do it and you have that drive, that mentality, and that's what he did. That's what he was able to do to get that from those kids.
What do you think the likelihood of being able to pass that on to them? Is it then a personality, right? Something like a coach you want to play for type of thing? Because Coach Rule also mentioned they would probably just promote from within to get to that special teams unit to the next coordinator. And, mentioned a name like Josh Martin that's in there and guys that, have been in the building. You would hope, maybe you could get the rub or see how it goes. But I guess my concern a little bit there too would be like, you can't, they're going to be able to tell if you're faking. If you try to act like Coach Eckler, then that could be intriguing in any case.
The thing with that is you don't want to be Coach Eckler. You want to take what he's installed and make it better. If you try to overhaul it, then now you're starting over from scratch. If you helped with him this year on the special teams, you want to use what he used and try to make it better, fine tune it, find kids that you can plug in to those positions, because you're going to lose a couple kids in positions that you had, but find kids that you can plug into those positions that can execute what you want to get done on special teams. If you try to do a complete overhaul, now you start over from scratch.
Yeah.
But like he said, there's guys in the building that can get it done. Eckler has gave them the blueprint. Is what they do with that blueprint going forward.
Yeah, we'll see. And again, there's no new news in that front. I know a lot of people have been waiting to kind of see what happens there, but we're still waiting to see. But it feels like at least Coach Eckler not in the foxhole with Coach Rule at this point, but we will see. It could be different. I want to get to some of your reaction off the text line too as we get into it. We were talking about this a little bit. John in Southeastern Lincoln says, "Hi guys, doesn't spring practice start at the end of February?" John asked. It does seem like they're getting the spring session in a little bit earlier this go round, and I don't know exactly why, but they've already kind of tentatively told those plans.
Yeah, we talked, like you said, we talked about it off air. I don't know what's the reasoning behind it, but with me, I would wait later to start it so you can get more meeting time with the kids, because you have a new defensive coordinator, so they can learn the system. You get more walkthroughs, you get more meeting time, you get more film time, film studying. But they chose to start early and finish early. The reason behind it, we don't know.
Let's get to another question here. This is from Big Haas. Says, what would y'all think about doing a spring game at night, having all the lights and everything for the recruits? I think it would help. Not every year, but maybe every other or every third year. What's your opinion?
Man, spring game under the lights ain't gonna help no recruits.
Why is that? Why is that?
Everybody thinks. I mean, of course, recruits want to come when you have a game type atmosphere, but under the lights doesn't really do you any good because it could be a cold night in the spring, and you're not gonna have as many fans. I just think, as far as recruiting, you have to have an identity. You have to have certain kids you want to go after, certain kids that you think can fit for what you want to do, that are mentally and physically tough, that are smart, and they love the game. That's what recruiting. That's recruiting. If you get kids that are only coming for NIL, they're only coming for likes and clicks, and now you're gonna have a team full of bad players.
Yeah, and certainly when it matters, right? You gotta get together and do this for the team instead of, well, what's this mean for my NIL in the off season? Yeah. So that definitely can lead you to a bad spot. Another question that kind of comes out of Matt Rule's appearance there in Weekly Radio this past week was that they did decide not to go after a running back in the portal. And this was not by accident. They have a certain budget, right? Everybody does, and they said they kind of need to address those spots more so than the running back position. A lot of fans thought running back would make a lot of sense. And in my mind, I can at least tell you where I came through, because I had that similar thought. Is that not necessarily that I didn't think Mekhi Nelson or doing my own evaluation, thinking that those guys can't take the mantle. It's more so it didn't appear to me that the coaching staff believed that they could, because they didn't include them. They didn't, they didn't trust them, and they didn't give those carries. Now, they could argue that's because Emmett Johnson is an All-American. He's that much better and all that sort of stuff. But as we know, even if you have a great running back, generally you have somebody in there to spell him 5 or 6, 7 times a game, just to kind of keep him healthy and throughout the season, all that sort of thing. So, as Rule kind of said that, it does kind of put an end to that discussion of a lot of people looking, okay, well, why didn't they go after somebody in the portal? As you kind of look at the situation at running back, are you comfortable with what they've got returning?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Again, they've seen those kids more than we have, so we can only go off what we've seen this year. Emmett was the guy that toted the rock, and when he needed a break, when those guys came in, they didn't do anything that excited me. They didn't do anything that would say, okay, leave Emmett on the bench for a couple more plays or two, and let them take some more pressure off of Emmett. So again, we're not the guys that are calling the shots down there. They made the decision not to bring one in. Now, who knows? They may have something under they may be keeping that close to their sleeves, and there may be a surprise coming down the road, because you see those tweets about a certain player that's played in the national championship that's from right down the road.
Oh, yeah.
So who knows? But as far as me thinking that those guys can get it done, not from what I've seen last year. So, and again, they see him every day in practice, every day in the weight room, so they know better than us.
Yeah. Then they're confident in it. We'll see who comes out of that room and takes the lead among those guys. Again, Mekhi Nelson, 27 carries, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns this past game. Of course, that was bolstered by the performance in the bowl game, at least, where Nelson was able to, at that point, get a little bit of an opportunity. 12 carries for 88 yards, the long of 38, his 38-yard touchdown. Also had 48 yards receiving in that game. So did at least prove to give you a little bit of hope, a little more than you would have without the bowl game. Quentin Ives, by the way, finishing with 20 carries for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Mosey, 26 carries, 115 yards. And then, of course, some of those guys helped more than the others on in receiving. I mean, Mosey specifically, 14 receptions, 155 yards on the year for him at running back. But, I think also with that discussion, too, is you kind of get the end story and what maybe wraps up and sounds the best, right? And maybe that is what, maybe they didn't target anybody, didn't think about it. They were happy with what they had in the running back room. But there's also the possibility that maybe they felt like, okay, there's 2 or 3 targets that we like, that we think could elevate the room. And then outside of that, it's kind of like some of the targets that they got elsewhere. It's like if you bring in a 500-yard running back, okay, that's a little bit more experience and stuff, but is it elevating the room, right? Or if you bring in a guy that started 3 games somewhere, does that really elevate the room?
Nope.
So, it might have been, okay, they had some feelers out there on some of the bigger name running backs, weren't going to make any hay there, and so decided to kind of stick with what they had going forward there at running back. But again, a lot of this, I do want to get back to just the portal altogether, the class that Nebraska has brought in, and your feelings on that, because it's not just this portal. Remember, a big part of this discussion throughout the year was, why isn't Nebraska going after all these in-state kids, right? Or why is why do they only have 10 guys in their high school class? And to be fair, they got a Danny Odom, that's a big time recruit. They've made some impressive moves there. But altogether, it's kind of interesting to watch all of that play out with the idea that Nebraska's really, okay, so they're putting all their money into the portal. And then, I don't know. You can only evaluate so much with what's in front of you. Nebraska, well, I guess I just get to the final point that Nebraska's portal class this year probably not going to be as highly ranked as previous years. So what are your kind of opinions, Kenny, on where Nebraska landed with these guys out of the portal? We talked a little bit about it, specifically focused on those front lines.
Yeah, I think early on, when people saw they was only going to sign a small class in this class, I think they had a plan because they were going to bring more portal guys. That's why they only signed that many kids out of high school. So they had a plan going, how they wanted to do this recruiting cycle. They've somewhat executed that plan because they got a lot of guys from the portal that they think can fit what they want to get done on both sides of the ball. I still think there's room for growth. Who knows? Like I said, there can be another piece or two that falls in their lap coming up. We'll see in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see where they land because, like you said, those Indiana, those Miami players, they're going to have a few days to be able to get to the portal, and we'll see. Specifically, Shamar Brown is the one that a lot of people are at least hoping for on Nebraska's side, but we'll see. He might just decide to stay there in Miami. Obviously, when you have success, you're likely to have less guys enter the portal. At least that's traditional thinking. Nowadays, with NIL and opportunities out there, might be the exact time to strike, right?
Exactly.
So who really knows the thought process there? Let's go ahead and take a quick break again here on Bock The Blackshirt. We've got a few more segments the rest of the hour here on KW Tuesdays with Kenny Wilhite. We'll be back with more after the break.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Hog Wild has a delicious way for you to enjoy beef brisket. It's our open-faced hot beef sandwich. We start with our grilled Texas toast. Add a scoop of creamy mashed potatoes. Load them up with some tender Hog Wild beef brisket and top it off with our tasty brown gravy. It's absolutely delicious. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to get stronger just around the corner, so you can give everything you've got. Whether you want to crush a few reps before class with our expanded strength equipment or sweat it out on your way home from work. With over 2,800 locations, there's a Planet Fitness close to you, and most are open 24 hours. Join the club today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends January 30th. Are you coming? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
A membership with John Henry's will fast track you to front of the line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
And electrical.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Don't wait. The clock is ticking at Landmark Implement's annual inventory reduction sale. For a limited time, get special financing as low as 1.9% for 12 months, then 6.2% interest for 48 months on select equipment. No auction, no waiting, just inventory price to move. Once it's gone, it's gone. Visit Landmark Implement or shop online at landmarkimp.com. Then click on the featured used equipment and experience the Landmark difference.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
At Anderson Ford, we have commission-free guides who are paid to give you a great experience, not make a sale, so you can choose the best vehicle for you. Right now at Anderson Ford, lease a 2025 Ford Escape for $222 per month. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 4003618. Lease for $222 per month for 36 months with approved credit. 7,500 miles per year. 5,000 plus first payment due at signing. No security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 2/2/26.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, for brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to Bock and the Blackshirt on air and online at theticketfm.com.
On 93.7, The Ticket is indeed K-Dub Tuesday. Kenny Wilhite in the building as we make our way through the week. A week without Terrell. All very sad, but he was going to call it. Had a little problem getting back to him. He is enjoying his vacation, so it's not very sad. He's actually pretty happy with what he's doing out there. But it is kind of an interesting thing I always talk about as the world turns, the soap opera that is Husker football at times. It certainly is that case in college football as well. There's a new story every day, and here we have another one. Duke is suing Darian Mensah, their quarterback, to try to stop his transfer portal entry. Of course, the latest in that we've seen of that. Of course, we saw that with Devon Williams in Washington. Prince William Mielon, former Husker, who has signed with Ole Miss, is now trying to get out of that and kind of going through a similar problem there. The school has asked this, going back to Darian Mensah here. The school has asked a judge to issue an injunction and temporary restraining order that would prevent him from entering the transfer portal and joining another team. This one is because Mensah signed a multi-year deal, NIL deal with the Blue Devils. Of course, led them to the ACC championship, but all this multi-year deal is expected to be worth up to $4 million for this upcoming season. Maybe feels like he could get more out there on the open market. But one way or the other, I don't know. I just can't. I keep waiting. If a player is able to transfer after signing, and a judge rules through that, then what are we opening into the world of college football?
Yeah, it's crazy right now. Doesn't all the teams have their quarterbacks now?
Most of the teams do. Yeah.
I don't get where he think he's trying to go. But it's crazy.
I did notice with, and there were a few teams. Let's see if I can find that. So when Alberto Mendoza entered the transfer portal this morning, I was kind of surprised too, because it's like, okay, well, where is there to go? In the article on ESPN, it says ACC programs Georgia Tech, Duke, who Darian Mensah is trying to get out of, and Stanford are still searching for quarterbacks after the transfer portal closed. So I guess there are a few teams that were left empty-handed, or in Duke's case, being left empty-handed here at the last minute, and that's why they're kind of going to this extreme to try to keep him. But I guess there's a few teams that didn't get what they wanted out there in the portal at quarterback just yet.
Stanford has hit rock bottom.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think they've hit rock bottom. You have Andrew Luck as the GM, so hopefully he can get it turned around. But who would want to go to Stanford right now?
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody that can't start anywhere else.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to usually give you a very good return on that. So we'll see. Where did they finish? So Stanford finished 4-8 this year, but it wasn't very good. They beat Cal, beat Florida State, beat Boston College. So a few solid wins in there.
You ain't saying that. them teams were irrelevant.
That's just surprising to me that they even did that, because Stanford is in a tough spot. They went with a full-time interim coach, which doesn't make any sense for the year, right? They went all in on an interim coach for a year without calling them their full coach.
And who did they hire?
Oh man, that's a good question. Let me look that up.
I don't even know who they hired.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm trying to look at that now, because they did end up with, it was Tavita Pritchard, which was not all that big of a hire either.
No.
A former Cardinal quarterback was hired in this past year. General manager Andrew Luck, took over for Frank Reich following the firing of Troy Taylor.
Well, Frank Reich took over first.
So Andrew Luck hired him basically to take over.
Yes.
But that was the full-time interim coach that I was kind of pointing out to. Tavita Pritchard, that's interesting, because I remember he's more of like a more so that he's a Cardinal, right? A Cardinal way, or Cardinal guy, more so than that he's risen up to that level in the rankings. I think he had some head coaching experience, or excuse me, he was the quarterback coach with the Commanders from 2003 to 2025. Had been on Stanford's staff in one way or the other from 2010 to 2022. Was even the offensive coordinator for 4 years there. So that's where Stanford landed.
Oh,
good luck, Carter.
Yeah, what you say? Good luck.
Yeah, if only Then the other thing, of course, is they're playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference when they're on the West Coast, and so a lot of travel. So when you talk about rock bottom, it's just in general kind of an odd spot to be for Stanford football at this point. But we'll see some more too. Again, with these teams, again, if somebody is able to get out of their deal after signing, that's going to open up a whole nother can of worms. And I don't even know how you'd have any sort of roster continuity or management from that point.
There's just no loyalty. You guys played a commercial when you were Adam, you and Adam character.
Yeah.
Kids are announcing when they're in the NFL, they're announcing
Oh yeah, that's right.
Man,
yeah.
that was all the different colleges they went to. That was hilarious, bro. Oh my goodness, that's what it's come to.
Yeah,
that's what it's come to. So,
yeah, and of course, at some point too, a lot of comparisons to the NFL and what they're able to do there. But at least when they sign those deals, right, then the team has their contract and all that. So I think college football. Initially and Terrell's been saying that for years. And initially I think, I don't think you need to bring contracts to college football. But the further you go down this path, the further you do need to bring contracts in. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Speaking of the path and where they're going next, I did want to bring up the fact the SEC would like to expand the college football playoff to 16 teams. The Big Ten would like to expand the college football playoff to 24 teams.
That's ridiculous. You must, yeah. So you're going to play 12 games still?
No, I think under the model, I don't know if they'd play 12 games, but I know they would eliminate at least the conference championship games.
Yeah, I don't get it. You just said something that's wrong with college football, and that's the contract situation. Kids trying to get out of contracts that they've signed. And they're worried about expanding the playoffs. It's mind-boggling to me. So now you're just basically saying you don't care about school, the wear and tear on these athletes' bodies that it takes to play that many games. And if you're going to do that, then I think you go to a 9-game season and then you have the playoffs start.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But...
It's very, very unfortunate. And it's just about money now.
Yeah,
it's about money across the board. So yeah, that's just sad to hear.
Well, and where does it at what point does it get too big for it to be impossible to argue against the regular season being devalued? Now, I think it's already happened, right? But there's still kind of an old, longing and love for that. And of course, with 12 teams, you still got to make your argument. But if the top 25s get into the college football playoff, there's still a cutoff point. There's still, teams that are going to be fighting in there. But when you're looking at the top of the sport, that's just everybody gets in.
Yeah, that's what I don't agree with. Leave it at 12, and if you want to do something different, then you have a play-in game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like Notre Dame would have been in the play-in game this year, right?
Yeah,
and I don't know who they would have played, but they would have been in the play-in game, and you go from Duke, right? Duke won the ACC.
Duke won the ACC.
So right. Notre Dame and Duke would have been in the play-in game, and then you go from there. But adding more teams to it, then you're just seeing everybody getting into the playoffs, and then that's just going to water it down.
Yeah. And it is, again, it's already kind of interesting how it is. Miami traditionally would not have been in a position to fight for a playoff. And if you did an 8-team playoff, which we never got to, but if you did, which a lot of people thought would be the best thing to do altogether, they wouldn't have made that one. So it is interesting. There's arguments to be made on behalf of getting more teams in, getting Miami that opportunity. Of course, again, the biggest argument is always the moolah, the money. The money is driving the situation forward. But it's very interesting because the SEC and the Big Ten are kind of now driving the college football playoff expansion talk, and which is not surprising, the two most powerful conferences. And it's being reported that so once again, the SEC wants a 16-team field and the Big Ten wants 24. And basically, they're at a standstill because the SEC or the Big Ten would be okay with expanding to 16, but with an idea that eventually, like 3 years down the line, you'd get to 24, and the SEC just doesn't want to expand beyond that. So if no deal is made to go to 16 or 24, they'll just stick at 12 for now.
They just need to keep it at 12. That's all it needs to be. Because now, again, you're just watering it down now. Now you're going to cancel out some of the bowl games.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, people say the bowl games are irrelevant now, but if I'm a player, I want to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, at least, yeah, chance to extend your season too.
Yep.
And of course, too. I mean, it's just people have different arguments about the regular season and if it's devalued, because when you have 12 teams, obviously at the end of the year they're fighting to get into the playoff. But I think it's also just kind of the scope of the sport is now dialed into the playoff. And that's what makes the bowl games significantly less than. And that's why you can't, argue that the bowl games are what they once were. Mm-hmm. Expanding the playoff obviously even makes then those bowl games, are brought down. But again, to me, what I loved about college football more than other sports, and again, the playoff's not the wrong way to do it. It's what every sport does. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. But what I originally liked about college football was the thin margin of error you could have and still fight for a national championship throughout the regular season. And so what you were giving the title to at the end wasn't necessarily the hottest team, which is what a playoff will do, but it was the most deserving team. And it was part of the story was, can you stay healthy? Can you avoid an upset on the road in the middle of October when, it's not the biggest game of the year, all that sort of stuff. The excitement stays and it sticks here for now. College football has done a great job. You can argue what you want about field storming, all that sort of stuff, but, celebrating those moments. But here's the thing again, Alabama lost 4 games this year and finished in the top 10. When Alabama lost and got beat, even in a 4-team playoff field, even when you expanded it to that, it felt like the biggest moment of the season, right? It felt like, okay, this deserves a field storming because of the situation. We just knocked Alabama from the title hunt, or put in whatever team you want to over the years. Now, if 4 lost teams are finishing in the top 10, 3 lost teams are making it to the playoff, how big is one single upset? It might be still big. I mean, the college students still might want to enjoy rushing the field and all that sort of stuff. But as far as that moment that made college football special, which to me was the upsets in the regular season, again, it still is going to be there, but it's just, it doesn't have the same weight to it that it once did. And I already missed that about college football since the expansion.
Yeah. If you go back to this year's national championship, right? Indiana, they had a bye, right? Indiana had a bye in the first round, right?
Yeah. Yep. Number 1 seed.
Open up with Alabama. And what'd they do to Alabama?
Killed them.
That's a blue blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hard to beat a team twice. Now they got to go face Oregon again for the second time this year. What'd they do to them?
They bludgeoned them too.
Bludgeoned them too. Then you wind up in a national championship game and you're playing against Miami, who's a blue blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're a blue blood, and you beat them. That's what you want. Again, if you add more teams to it, you're just going to water it down. Because now you're looking at possibly a James Madison got in. North Texas got in. You look at a couple more teams like that, and then you bring in maybe a Big Ten or SEC school. Are those teams deserving right now? If you look at the guys that finished out of the top 12, Notre Dame would have been in. They were probably deserving, but the other guys wouldn't have been. So, again, you're watering it down. It's not going to be as exciting. It's not going to be the matchups that you want to see. Indiana faced those matchups that you like to see in college football, and they got it done.
Well, again, too, and I think people, when you think about expansion, and again, it's not, to me, it's not just all about what's more fun and more exciting. And to them, it is a little bit about, just what makes more money. But to some people it is. It's just expand, get more teams in. There would be people that would argue, I would have loved to see BYU and Texas and Utah and Vanderbilt in and all those teams. And again, maybe that would be the expansion to the 16 teams that the SEC is looking at. But at a certain point, it's not about just what would be more exciting. The college basketball is wildly exciting because everybody gets an opportunity if you've had a halfway decent season. But I don't know if that's the best way to crown a champion. And that's kind of what you get to is if Vanderbilt is making the college football playoff, or a Texas is making the college football playoff with 3 losses and Indiana's undefeated. And yes, you can get buys and you can have home field advantage, all that sort of stuff. And that could factor in, but you still have that same chance to face, to compete for a national championship. Then what's the point of the long regular season and the value of these losses?
Exactly. So you can't have you can't have both sides. You got to either, if you want more teams in the playoffs, you got to shorten the season. And then there won't be any conference championship games. So again, think of the young men that are sacrificing their bodies week in and week out. Think of them first.
Yeah, we'll see. That has not been the case so far. It's been more about the money.
More about the money.
And that is where sports taking us. But we did make it through a year of college football. And so I'm assuming we can make it through next year, even if the focus is on the money, which, by the way, we're talking about too during the break. The valuations of some of these teams have gone up and they've skyrocketed. So the money has certainly help in certain situations.
Must be the money. The Deion Sanders song.
That's right. Deion needs some of that help. He went 3-9 this
He
year.
went 3-9.
Yeah.
He needs some help.
Not so much.
Not so much.
All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll wrap things up on K-Dub Tuesday with Kenny Wilhite in on Bock The Blackshirt.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, to brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC. And wow, what a year it was at Koppel. The Koppel family would like to say thank you for a record-setting sales year in 2025. Now let's start 2026 off with the bang. New GMC Sierra pickups starting at $12,500 off list or 0% APR. Also hot off the presses, new Terrain leases at $299 per month. That's right, $299 per month on new GMC Terrain leases. So please stop on in the store or online at koppelcars.com. Stock numbers G138852 and G165184, $2,500 down with proof credit.
Tune in to Outside the Box from 4 to 5 p.m. for everything you need to know about the Lincoln Stars. Join head coach Rocky Russo and play-by-play voice Alex Fern as they sit down with special player guests to tell the story of the Lincoln Stars and give you all the news and notes you need from around the USHL. That's Outside the Box with the Lincoln Stars on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You started your business to build something special. Now it's time to grow and protect it. At Pinnacle Bank, our treasury management services help you do just that. Through smarter payment technology, account administration, and fraud protection. So no matter the size of your business, you can get the most out of your financial operations. Request your free consultation at pinbank.com/consult. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to Bock the Blackshirt, on air and online at theticketfm.com.
Thanks for joining us today here on KW Tuesday on Bock The Blackshirt. I'm Jake Bachman. He is Kenny Wilhite. Terrell out for the week. We'll be back on Monday. By then, we will know what the Super Bowl matchup is after another exciting week, hopefully, of some NFL football. Of course, it has been exciting. The playoffs thus far has not disappointed. But here we are with the playoffs coming down to conference championship weekend. The 1 seed Broncos will host the 2 seed Patriots. Of course, Broncos doing so without star quarterback Bo Nix. Seattle on the opposite side in the NFC, coming down to an NFC West showdown, will host the Rams on Sunday as well at 5:30. That game will be on Fox. The Patriots Broncos game on CBS. So as we will it down here, Kenny, you can, if you want to, you can use this time also to kind of talk about the games over the weekend. But I got to get what your Super Bowl pick is going to be coming up.
Ooh, we just talked about it off air. I'm gonna go Rams, Patriots. Raph, I'm sorry, but I think losing Bo Nix is going to hurt the Broncos. I'm on the Broncos train because of Vance having a relationship with him, but I think that losing Bo Nix is going to hurt the Broncos. So that's why I'm picking New England. And then I'm gonna say the Rams get it done this year.
All right.
I think the Rams. Now, don't say I'm not telling you guys because the Rams were in St. Louis. No, that's not why I'm saying that. I never jumped on the Rams bandwagon when they was in St. Louis. I just think the Rams have shown that they can get it done. So that's why I'm picking the Rams.
Which would be interesting if it is New England and the Rams. Of course, that would be a rematch from the 2019 Super Bowl when New England won 13-3. If it is, in fact, because New England's been to all these Super Bowls, it's easy to do this. If it is Seattle that comes through and New England wins, that would be a rematch of the 2015 Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
That New England won 28-24. I could look back more at some Broncos, Rams, Broncos, Seahawks history, see if there's one in there as well for the Denver side.
Is that when Seahawks threw that interception in the red zone going into the end? They should just hand it off to Marshawn Lynch. That's that game.
Yeah.
That's that game. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
That's the game.
So Seattle beat.
No. New England beat Seattle.
New England beat Seattle. Okay.
But Seattle was going in to score. Instead of handing it to Marshawn Lynch, they threw a pass on the slant and they got intercepted.
Yes, Malcolm Butler.
Butler.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So,
there is a potential rematch from the 2014 Super Bowl. Is what I was trying to find was Seattle beating Denver 43-8. Back in the day. So some potential rematch. It's kind of nice because it feels like some of the teams are fresh, but of course the Patriots, while they haven't been in the mix the last couple of years, that's not a fresh team in the Super Bowl.
Nope, not at all.
Oh man, those poor fans. They had to wait a few years.
They had to wait a few years.
Now the interesting thing here is with Matt Stafford, if he can get it done and win 2 Super Bowls, similar to Eli Manning, that's put you in a whole different stratosphere. Obviously, his stats much better than Eli Manning's in that. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see if that is what does happen. Is the conversation that comes in and where do you kind of rank Matt Stafford all time? Now, again, it's kind of fun. We get to argue the top more often than not in college. In basketball, of course, it's been the MJ LeBron talk. And, over the years, Tom Brady has kind of taken over the Joe Montana role there at the top of the NFL. So there's I'm not having Stafford up at the top, but can move his way up the ranks.
Yeah, he could. He's probably the MVP of the league this year.
I think so. Yeah.
I think he's all but wrapped that up. So if he can go ahead and win a Super Bowl, then now we're talking about where does he fit?
Yeah. Did you enjoy any of the games this past week, particularly? I mean, Rams, Bears went to overtime. Caleb Williams had an incredible throw toward the back of the end zone to kind of maintain that game, keep it alive. Of course, the Bears had to have that miraculous comeback against the Packers. Does come up short as somebody has to move on. And there were a couple nail biters. That was one of them. But the Bears, Caleb Williams get a lot of hate, but throughout this playoff run, I got to admit, he gained a fan in me because it was just fun to watch him play.
Yes, I can say the same. Again, when they got in trouble and they needed to play, he got it done with his feet. That one run he ran, he put his shoulder down to get that first down. I mean, that showed toughness, that showed grit. And then, unfortunately, he got greedy and threw that one pass that cost him the interception. And then the Rams went down and kicked the game winner. So Yeah, he probably changed a lot of fans' views of him this year with that run that they've had, because they've had some comeback victories this year that people didn't think they would do, and they done it. And you thought they had a chance at it again this past weekend, but they weren't able to get it done.
Yeah, very close. And then the other interesting game was obviously, or the other more interesting game, another one that went in overtime, was the Broncos defeating the Bills. We talked about how it did cost the Bo Nix.
And it cost Bo Nix Raph. That cost the Broncos a chance of winning the Super Bowl, getting to the Super Bowl.
Could be.
But it also cost that man his job. Sean McDermott.
Yeah, which is surprising. The Bills got rid of him.
I'm like, this man, well, again, the Bills under Mark Levy, they were 0-4
yes,
in the Super Bowls. So I guess they think they didn't want to go back down that path again. But they couldn't get past the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
They haven't been able to get past the Chiefs. This year, the Chiefs are out of it. So you would think that they could get it done and get Josh Allen to the Super Bowl. And again, they came up short. And for them to fire him, though, it was mind-boggling to me. That was crazy.
Yeah, I definitely did not see it coming. You'll lose that late in the playoffs. You just don't expect to see that happen. Sean McDermott, by the way, born in Omaha, Nebraska. So shout out to those that are born here and leave early in their life, which usually happens from anybody that was born here. But at least there's another one. We'll see. I mean, I'd be interested to see where he lands. But his time there with the Bills, that's why, I thought it was interesting because they, after 2 years ago, remember they kind of lost all these free agents, Stephon Diggs included, and they kind of went through this deal of like, oh, great, well, now it's a rebuild. But it wasn't. They surprisingly went 13-4 and made a run to the AFC Championship game. And so I kind of think back to that. Well, what if things had gone to what was expected out of the Bills? Maybe you fall to 9-8 that year or whatever, and then you come back and have this year where you go 12-5 and come up short. Would he still have his job? I think he probably would.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. It's a cutthroat world up there, boy. The NFL is a cutthroat world.
But we have seen it before too in the past where teams have let go of successful coaches to see if they can get. They must feel, and then this is the end. Obviously, looking back, and it's obvious they feel this way, that he can get them to a certain level, but not over the top, right? And so what was that? I think a pretty good example of that was Tony Dungy with the Bucks, and then finally making the change to Chucky, John Gruden, and he took him over the top.
And Tony went to where? Indy?
Yeah. And he did pretty well there.
Did pretty well there.
Won a Super Bowl there.
Yep.
So good stuff there. The final thing I wanted to ask you today, Kenny, about was, of course, Nebraska basketball. They continue to keep the train rolling. They're out now up to number 7 in the nation, the highest they've ever been ranked. By the way, also the highest a Fred Hoiberg team has ever been ranked. His Iowa State teams peaked at number 8 as well. So Nebraska now chugging along. They got 2 games this week. Washington will be tomorrow evening at 8:00. That'll be interesting. Washington so far on the season, 2-5 in Big Ten play, 10-8 overall. They've got like 5 guys on their roster that are 6'10" or 6'11" though, so they bring in the height. Then they've got at Minnesota this weekend, 11 a.m. game on Saturday. So a couple more games, hopefully on the way to 20-0 and taking on Michigan. At that time would be probably a top 5 game, and that would be 1 week from today.
Yeah, and like we said, what is it, last week? You have to win the ones you're supposed to win. So you can't have any slip up against Washington. You can't have any slip up against Minnesota. And then Michigan's going to be a tough task. Michigan then Illinois. Both of those two. You can't look past Washington and Minnesota and be thinking of Michigan. Take care of these 2 first, and then you worry about Michigan later.
Yeah. We'll see if they can get it done. Certainly gives you confidence that they will be able to get it done in their last couple games, because they had some of those teams that maybe you could look over and they smacked them, beat them down pretty well.
Let's continue to do that.
Let's do. All right, thanks again, Kenny, for jumping in today.
Appreciate you, brother. It's been fun.
It has been. That'll wrap it up for Bock The Blackshirt today. Old school coming next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi,
right, Charlie Stone here, and joining me is Andy Goodyear with Honda of Lincoln. Before I bring Andy on, we want to wish you joy, success, and good health in 2026. Andy, are you there?
Yes, I am, Charlie. And by the way, that was well said.
Andy, I know you want to kick off 2026 with a bang. What's going on?